come and be an open book. Well, Nellie, thank you for being here. It's always so wonderful to see you as well. So I have Aron Jemison of Three Tails RV here, and he in our community is known for being probably one of the most helpful people. He's given a lot of us small channels advice and tips, constructive feedback, and it's always been really, really appreciated. But today I don't want to talk to him about search engine optimization and thumbnails and all the things that he helps us with. I want to get to know who Aron is. I want to get to know the man behind the channel. So I really hope that you guys contribute to the conversation with some questions for Aron. If there's something that I missed or something that, pops into your head, this is the opportunity to find out who he is and what his history is. So Aron, are you ready? I'll bring you up. All right.
Hey,
bud, how's it going?
Not too bad. I want to say hi to Auntie Cindy.
Auntie Cindy. Well, now Auntie gets to know who you are. Nobody knows what she looks like yet.
I don't know, but she's at home. That's what it says anyway.
She's what?
She's at home.
Oh, well, there you go. What is this? I've adopted you, except for Christmas presents. Kathleen, you're so darn cute. Okay, well, I'll expect something for my birthday then, since you didn't clarify that one. I'm just kidding.
Isn't that coming up?
It's in January.
That's what she said.
Another year. Thank you, Megan, for dropping that link to the channel where I'm interviewed tomorrow. Hello, Travel Adventures with Eric. So nice to see everybody here. We already have 19 people and we just started a stream. That's awesome.
Ooh. Wow.
People are here to see you, to know the man behind the magic of the channel.
Magic. It's all magic.
Yeah. Aww. Hey, so how long have you had your YouTube channel?
The first one or the second one?
Okay, let's start with the first one.
The first one I started, holy smokes, when was that? I have to actually go back and look, but I don't want to mess up the stream. I don't know why I have two StreamYards open. It was before I got into it was all about, I had a fish room and we had over 2,000 gallons of water in our house. And I was raising different fish. What we were concentrating most on was angelfish. And we sold those all up and down the west coast of the States. So,
wow.
Yeah, we had a lot of fish going through in and out of there. And I originally started that to help people with raising angelfish and doing different fish and different tank designs and all that other fun stuff. And then unfortunately we had a accident where the power went out and I lost all of that. And right after that we decided, it's time to do something else. So we bought an RV and that's kind of where it all started. I was doing YouTube videos for that. So I was like, okay, I'll just do the transition into this.
But they're on two separate channels.
Yeah, it's one of them is passionate for angels, and then this one. But if you type in my name, you'll find both of them.
Okay.
There's all kinds. There's like 2,000 subscribers over there.
I do have another question. Like your channel is your name, Aron Jemison, but then you have the Three Tails RV. Was it called Three Tails RV, or are you changing the name into that, or?
Back in the day, you couldn't put anything but your name. You had to go in and request the name of the channel, and for some reason I never did, and it was just Three Tails RV, and that's kind of an interesting story how that came around. We have 3 dachshunds that we take with us on our travels across the states, and that's where it came from. I have 3 tails in an RV. It's not our home, it's their home. If you own pets, then you'll understand that completely, because it's like that's where it came from, because we're in their house. It's not our home, it's their home.
So do you ever consider changing the name to Three Tails RV?
I don't know. It's right there. I use both. I
mean, you're known as Aron Jemison, though, right?
And so they're both up there. If you type in my name, you're going to see 2 channels, which people sometimes go back and watch those and go, "Wow, look at all those fish." And then I get some of those bleed over questions from the 2 they'll come over to this side and watch some of it and go, "Hey, that's really cool. I saw you years ago," and that's kind of where it comes from.
And so, how long have you had this channel then?
This channel since 2013, I think.
Okay.
So it's been a while. It just takes. There was a time I get going really well with doing videos, and then it's like I got to take a break because it's always like in the summertime. It's opposite for the RV and van life type stuff because it's completely opposite. During the summer, when everybody's wanting to watch videos, is when everybody wants to travel and go do adventures and all that type of stuff, and that's what we're out doing. And then that's when everybody wants to watch the stuff. And then when it starts to taper off in October, because now everybody's concentrating on Christmas and being with family and being with friends, and that's usually when I'm pumping out videos to catch up from the
Mhm.
summer where I was doing other things. So, but that was when we were living in a friend of mine's driveway and paying him rent for his driveway space, and that's what we did. And then we ended up getting all of the different parts and pieces to the RV and getting it the way we wanted it, and doing taking out the carpet, putting in vinyl this, and putting in the tiling for the kitchen, and putting up this nice little wallpaper stuff that's here, and just little things to make it our own home. And I just filmed the journey along the way. Originally,
That's awesome.
it was designed, it was there so that we could like track our stuff. And then as I got deeper and deeper into the YouTube stuff, then I started watching other how to make it more excitable for people to watch. Kind of the stuff, if you want to go, all that stuff you can find on that one video, the late night live that we did, and we talk about a lot of the different steps that go along the way. We've already had this discussion like last week or
Hmm.
Friday, so you can go watch that. I think it was Friday, Saturday.
Saturday,
Yeah,
Saturday/Sunday.
yeah. I'm like, I'm going. She pops back on me, and I'm like, "Ugh, I'm tired. I'm not going to do this." Then we start talking YouTube, and it's just like, oh, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Oh no.
I'm not kidding. I'm way too old for those ridiculously long streams. I keep saying I'm going to cut it out at midnight, and then I don't. I'll
I don't.
learn. I will learn because I'm still
Sure you
trying
will.
to recover today, Aaron, and it's Monday. And
Yeah,
all I was drinking was water and a cup of coffee. It's not even like I was out drinking. It's
yeah. You
on
got to
the
quit drinking
bump
coffee at 12 o'clock at night, though.
side. It tastes the best then.
Yeah,
I know. I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way. Well, we have some pictures. Do you mind if I pull them up and
sure.
ask you a couple questions about
Especially the first one.
those? Aw, who's this little cutie patootie?
That is my mom, and that is me. I just
And so
figured,
you're what, 52?
yeah.
You're still just a spring chicken.
Yep, that's in the hospital at El Paso or Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. That's where I was born. And that's
Oh,
my
nice.
mom. She was so cute then.
She's
And I'm just a little
pretty.
turd.
Aw, look at those cheeks.
Yeah,
You're a tubby little
still can't do
buddy.
that. Yeah,
You're so funny. Let's see what we got here.
that
So it's
is at Mesa Verde in Colorado. So my parents like to travel in the summertime and took us to different places all over Minnesota. That's why I was talking to somebody else on one of your lives where we went up to Minnesota. Was it your lives? Yeah, it was because we were talking about the canoeing and stuff. And that's one of the pictures where we went and explored the ruins there. That's really kind of a neat place.
so you already got a bit of that travel explore bug with your parents as a kid.
Yep. My parents talked about years about getting a van and taking when at retirement age they were going to take a van and then put a trailer with it and they were going to travel across the United States.
Hmm.
As a kid I heard that and I remember that.
Wow,
And
you've grown
now
up quite a
it's
bit.
just
Just kidding.
come on, I was what, 10? Look at my skinny butt.
Oh, it's
Me and my
cute.
Space Invaders hat, if I remember right.
Oh, how old were you in this picture?
Oh, about the same. That was a horse on my grandparents' farm. My grandfather, when he was in World War II, was in the last cavalry unit that was actually before it went mechanized. So what that means is that when he joined the army, he actually was riding horses. And before the big push during World War II, they got rid of all the horses and went mechanized, which would be the half tracks, the tanks, and all that other fun stuff. So that's the person that I learned how to ride horses from. So there's a picture of me there. In the summertime, that's where you would find me. If I was not anywhere else, I was with the horse and we were off on our own little adventures. And we went everywhere together in the summer. So out of the 3 months that I was there, I probably was 99% of the time was on that horse.
That's
Loved it.
awesome.
And they own a dairy farm, which that's what the horses or the cows are behind, is the Jersey dairy cattle. And we'd be out there all the time.
Oh,
Yep.
that is so cool, Aron. Okay, wait a minute. What is this now?
All right, everybody has seen Glee, the show. I am dead center in the middle. If you can see my head.
The dude right here between the
Nope.
girls?
Go
Oh,
up.
up
You can
here.
just barely see my head. That's Tim. That guy right there. That's me. Top
With
dead
the arms
center.
in front of your face.
Yes. And I was in that's Happiness Incorporated, and that's what I did in junior high and high school. Was
So
show
you're
choir.
a singer.
Been a singer since I can remember.
Want to sing for us now? Do you ever sing now?
I do karaoke every once in a while. I was trying to find one of the pictures of me singing, and I couldn't find one. So,
Wow. So
but that's yeah.
you've always had this creative side, right?
Yep.
Able
And
to
I
be in
sent you.
the public eye.
Well, I don't know about the public eye. It was just easy to sing and do my little thing. We practiced so much that it just became second nature.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you would have, I can stand in front, sing in front of thousands of people, but if I had to read a piece of paper or do a presentation in front of them at that age, you would have never, I would have stood there and just been like, no, no, no.
Well, there is something about knowing exactly what to say or do versus
Mhm.
flying on your own. Because I know I liked drama. I liked being in plays, yet I was a very shy person when I was younger. But in a play, I could be someone else.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was a thespian. I was in several plays. We did Three Gentlemen of Verona. I was in Charlotte's Web. Most of the stuff I did was musicals. For my senior year, we did a production of Grease, and I was Teen
Oh,
Angel.
that's
And
awesome.
if you go on Facebook and type in JFK High School Grease and look for one in 1987, you will find me singing that part.
Megan, can you find that? We need a link for that.
Yeah, your story's sad to tell. Your teenage ne'er do well. Yes, I'm in there. They actually
Wow.
lowered me from above the stage onto the stage while I was singing that part. So that was fun.
That is so cool. This is funny. Desert Adventures, Arizona. Paula, shy? No way. I really was.
I was the
Even
same way.
even if I thought about talking to someone, I turned red. Right? Like it's taken a lot of work to get to this point, but drama really helped me through that.
It usually, yeah, because it gives you a different perspective on a lot of things.
Megan asked, can
Okay.
you repeat that?
John F. Kennedy, JFK High School, Greece, 1987.
Okay, let's see what we got next here. I love pictures. You know
I
what? If
sent
I
you a
could,
ton
I
of
would
them.
sit and go through all your photo albums. I'm just one of those people.
Well, see, even in oh my goodness, I forgot I sent that one. Even in high
Yeah,
school, they called me the most likely to be confused as a tourist because I
what?
always carried a camera. I had my own. Well, you got to realize I had my own dark room. Was my bedroom in high school. So I would
Really?
take rolls of black and white film, and then I would take them home, and I would process them, make my own prints. I would do my own enlargements. I did all of that stuff all the way through high school. So photography has been with me forever, and that was something I wanted to do when I first joined the military. So we'll do that transition before I talk about some of those pictures, was that that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a photographer, or I wanted to be the guy behind the camera at like the NFL or doing newscasts and stuff like that, because I always like the behind the scenes type work, setting up different equipment and doing that type of thing. I always thought that was interesting, and that's what I wanted to pursue. But then I joined the military, and they said, no, we don't have that open for you. You can try and get into that job later. And that's where that picture came from. The green stripes indicate that I worked in aviation and
Okay.
that I was an apprenticeship program. So I didn't really have a job. I was trying to find what particular job I wanted to do in the military. In that particular picture, I was taking my grandmother for a tour of the Carl Vinson, which was the aircraft carrier that I was on, and she had to go to the bathroom, and that is the officer's bathroom on the O3 level of the Carl Vinson, and that my grandfather said, "Hey, stand in front of that and take a picture." Well, I had to stand out in front of it because she was using a men's bathroom because at the time they didn't have women on board.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what that picture came from, and that was on there. Yeah. And
How
another
old were
interesting
you?
fact, then I was probably, oh, 19, 20. Everybody called me Goose in high school because they said I looked like Goose from Top Gun.
Now
I'm
I
like
gotta go
Goose.
watch Top Gun. I don't know who Goose
And
is.
I'm yeah, but that's where that came from.
Megan's saying she's finding 1991, but not 1987.
Okay, then I don't have to get embarrassed by having all of YouTube watch that.
Oh, darn it. Don't worry. When this is done, I'm hunting.
Oh,
Oh, let's see what else we got here. Well, you're growing up as time goes on
yep.
here in these pictures.
Then I decided there's a story behind that. When I was working on the flight deck as a young, non designated airman, and I was working on the flight deck where the aircraft go off and fly on and fly off, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time and ended up in a safety net. Now, what a safety net is there to protect you from going off the side of the ship. If that net wouldn't have been there, I would have been in the water. And that's the fun story. So I got blown off into a safety net. Then I had to go up and talk to the air boss. Now, the air boss is in charge of all flight deck operations. So he calls
Okay.
me up there and chews me up down on one side and down the other. And as my punishment, I had to write a letter to my mother and explain to her that I was stupid and I died on board. Now,
What?
yeah, that was my punishment. So I write this letter, I do all this stuff. He mailed it to my mother. He
And what did she
actually,
do?
she's calling and wants to know what happened and where I was and what happened. And I'm like, we just got an Amcross message that you need to call your mother immediately. So I'm on the phone with her and she is just in tears. She is just having a fit. He didn't send anything else with it. He just sent the letter to her. Now, you want to talk about a life-changing, altering lesson in life? That was a pivotal moment in my life and in my career, because now my mom thinks I'm dead. I have to explain to her that I'm not dead, that I am fine, and that was a
Mhm.
punishment and what had happened. So I went from working on the flight deck, one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, to working in an admin office. So I went from turning a wrench to pushing paper in a matter of like 2 months. That's what that little book is above the two chevrons, is a personnel, or HR is the easiest equivalent. And
Huh.
that's two pay grades since then.
Yeah, that is terrible. So how long were you in the Navy?
I was in the Navy for 20 years. I retired. They wouldn't let me go any further. They wouldn't let me stay any longer. If I could be there now, I would still be doing it.
Really?
Oh yeah. I love the travel. Okay, we go back to travel. When you're in the military, especially in the Navy, you are going to like the Persian Gulf. Well, to get to the Persian Gulf, it takes about 2 months to get there, and you get to go see exotic things like Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand. I've been to the Philippines. Um, all of those I just listed, I've been to about 4 or 5 times. I've been to Australia. I've been to Sydney, Darwin, and what's the other? Perth. I've Flew completely across Perth all the way to Sydney to meet the ship. And so I've been all over the place. I've been to, on my last deployment with the Carl Vincent, when they did a change of home port, I went from Bremerton, Washington, all the way around the world, and we went clear over to Norfolk, Virginia. And in between, I went home from. I was stationed out in Washington. I drove home back to Iowa, and then came back and went on deployment. And then I ended up going from there. I got back after deployment and went back to my hometown. So I went from all the way around the world from the middle of Iowa, in the middle of the States.
Wow.
In one weekend, I got to go see my kids. I put my one foot in the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean, and then that weekend went all the way across and put my other foot in the Pacific Ocean.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so I've been around the world, sailed the 7 seas.
Hey, how many kids do you have?
I have 4.
Boys, girls?
I have 3 boys and a daughter, one daughter. And I have
Oh.
10 grandchildren. Lori has 3 boys. So between the two of us, we have 10 grandkids.
Wow. Holy moly. That's crazy.
I'd start my own little basketball team.
Yeah, Dale Bruce says that he absolutely loved being in the Coast Guard.
Yep.
Huh. Crazy.
I saw a lot of things.
Let's see what we got here. Now, this is a good picture. Your wife must go, yep, this is my husband.
That's before I met her. I actually didn't meet my wife until after I retired. That one was taken in Bahrain. I was working as the ship's liaison. So I was in Bahrain, and the planes would come in, and that's in the Persian Gulf. The planes would come in with new arrivals going to the ship, and I would get them basically on a COD, which is a carrier onboard delivery system. It's a plane that runs back and forth with mail and parts and people to go back out to the aircraft carrier. And that was a picture that was taken by somebody in the back seat, I guess. Like, here, take my picture.
J Rock is asking, did any of your kids follow in your footsteps?
No.
No.
I'm 3rd generation. My grandfather was in the Army before it was the Army Air Force. My dad was drafted into the Army, and I was like, I don't want to do either one of those, and I'm not crazy enough to be a Marine, so I guess I'm going in the Navy.
Oh my. Oh. You're
That
ready
is
to jump out of planes.
That is the plane that I was calling the COD, the Conboard. If you look there, those boxes right there, that's 3 or 2 of the 8 boxes of pizza that I took out to the ship when I went that time. The guy standing next to me, we went up to 2 miles up into the air, and he actually re-enlisted with that ramp down right there where we're standing. So that's why we were strapped in, so that we could go out on the ramp and do his re-enlistment.
Oh.
Yeah. And I got to stand out there as the witness.
Very cool.
It's a little eerie, but it was fun. And no, that is a wax figure of Jackie Chan. That was in Hong Kong. Everybody sees that and go, you know Jackie Chan? No, I don't know Jackie Chan. We went up to the scenic view, and on our way back down, there was that wax figure of Jackie Chan, and I thought it was funny to take a picture standing next to him.
How long ago would that picture have been taken, Aaron?
That was in 2003, just before I retired. It was on my last deployment.
So so you're in there for 20 years, you retired. Do you get like a pension, or how does that work? And do you get that right after, or do you have to wait till a certain age?
Oh, I got it right out of as soon as I got done. I got to the 15-year mark. I didn't put it. I might have put a picture of that. This one with me crouching by a big thing. Did I send that one?
No.
That's my Harley that I had.
I'm backing up. We'll talk about that in a second. So 15 years in, you started getting your pension?
No, 15 years. I got to the 15-year point. My dad had lymphoma, and the prognosis wasn't very good of his survival rate. And I was like, I was going to get out. I was done. I wasn't going to do it anymore. I was actually at home and ready to start my civilian life. And uh, my parents came to me and said, "Hey, this is what's going on. We want to make sure that you're making an informed decision." And it took me about 2 hours to think it through. And I was like, I'm going back. I got to go back because I'm thinking big picture stuff. I'm thinking nobody's going to be able to take care of mom. What's going to happen if dad goes? Then I got to be able to be financially supportive towards her and try and deal with if anything did happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I re-enlisted at the 15-year mark, which would give me the last 5 years. And I'm just like, okay, I got to do this for the family. I can't be selfish at this moment. I got to go and do do the right thing. I'm all about doing the right thing. That's probably what's gotten me in more trouble than anything else all these years. But yeah, dad got lymphoma. Um, when I got done with that stint, I went back to Washington State and I was out there for probably about a year. Dad's situation got worse. I went to Great Lakes, the Great Lakes region, just outside of Chicago. It's about 4 hours north in I can't remember the name of the city, but so that I could be within 4 hours distance, 4 hours driving distance to home. And unfortunately, before I transferred, my dad had passed away from
Oh, I'm so
cancer.
sorry to hear that.
But I was there. I got to go home on the weekends, like every weekend. If we weren't doing anything, I was at home with dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then as he got progressively worse, I did that 4 hour drive one time in 2 hours. I got a phone call from my mom, and she said, "He's terminal. The hospice care is here, and he's not projected to make it through the night." And I was like, "There's nothing going to stop me from going." And I
No.
literally drove home.
Wow.
And on the same day, this is where the story gets even really more heart wrenching. My dad passed away, and my niece was born, and they were only 4 hours apart. So when my dad passed away, I got a new family member at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yikes.
with his passing, it was a hard time for me for a long time. I was in it, it rocked me to my core. I had no idea that something that would actually do that to somebody, and I'd never experienced that type of loss in my entire life. I've lost friends of mine. I've lost shipmates throughout the Navy, but they weren't right there with you.
Yeah.
It's so that it rocked me to the core for years. I ended up getting a divorce around that time frame, and I just kind of crawled into a deep, deep, dark hole, and it, wow, it's still tough for me sometimes because
Yeah.
his that just happened another month ago, and it's been 15 years, and I still to this day certain music comes on, and I just stop, and it's just like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my depression era. I went through all that. Got put on some medications. Got did some stuff through the VA to help you with the depression. Uh, you got to do what you got to do. I was sitting in a doctor's office with my third ex-wife and was reading one of there's a card that was on the thing, and it going through the levels of depression. If you feel this, do you feel this? Do you feel this? Was like a little questionnaire, and I'm like, I'm saying yes to all of those but one. And he's like, well, we need to help you out with that. We need to get you on something. And I went down to the VA and started talking about some of my PTSD issues and some of the things that were going on in my life at the time. And they were like, yes, we definitely going to get you on some medication. We're also going to get you some counseling, and you can talk about some of your stress related stuff that's related to the military, and we can get you some help. And at that time, I needed that more than I even knew. And I slowly got out of my little hole, and that's when I met
Mm-hmm.
Lori, and
Well, I
we
commend you for following through on that because when a person's in that state, getting help is the hardest thing to do.
it's hard to admit.
Yeah.
And
And I think
that's
it's
why it
even
was,
harder for men than it is women.
especially with the
It's
way that I
not
was raised.
fair, but we were raised differently in our generations.
Well,
I was allowed to have emotions, boys
I
weren't.
wasn't. Till
Yeah.
my dad's dying day, it was handshakes. We never hugged. We never hugged. And that came
Mhm.
from the generation before. My grandfather would never hug. It was not a thing that those two generations did. They did not. You put out your hand, and that was the greeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until just before my dad passed away, we sat down and watched a movie, the final season. It's a baseball thing. We've always had a thing with baseball, and there was a portion in that movie. If you haven't watched it, it's a tearjerker at that point where he sits down. The character sits down with his dad, and he actually says, I'm proud of the things that you've done and who you've become in life." And my dad did not say that. He said, "Watch this part. It's very important." He didn't actually say it, but he made me watch that. And that's one of the movies I cannot watch to this
And
day. I can't watch it
that
because
was the
it's
closest he could express
yeah,
how he felt.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, there's a couple of people saying, yeah, it's hard to ask for help. And fortunately you managed to call back out because a lot don't. A lot, well, that's, people say a lot of things about those that have addiction issues, but there's reasons why they do, right? And
It's
sometimes you're
usually
part of that.
yeah, and usually with the depression with the addiction, it's because of a depression, something that caused that, and they want to wash away or remove that pain in their life, and they feel like that's what they've got to lean to. And there was a time in my life when I was sliding into that, and I caught myself, and I said, "No, I am not going to be a drunk. No, I'm not going to use drugs. I'm not going to be one of those people." I
Yeah.
saw me going that direction. It's like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this to myself and other people that depend on me to be there. And I
Mhm.
stopped that, but it doesn't stop the rest of the. It doesn't get rid of the issues.
No, it doesn't. And I commend you for getting the counseling as well, because that's the thing that so many people don't understand. When you're dealing with depression, there's a whole lot of different aspects around it that you need to deal with. It's not like just counseling or just an antidepressant is going to clear it up. It's a whole lot of work on your part to try to get better.
But
Yeah.
the people around me didn't understand. My mom didn't understand. She's like, "You need to get on your meds." That's what her thing was, because we were going back and forth. And at the time, years later, she got a new boyfriend, and you just don't like him. No, I just don't like how he treats you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to go back on your medication. No, mom, that's not it. I've worked out through my issues.
Oh, don't you
You need to
love
get on your
that?
medication. Yes, I don't need to get back on my meds. But I ended up
Yeah.
doing it again anyway because there's been other things that have triggered things. So,
Well, and
but I know when I do.
you're not the only one that's had those situations, right? Like I have shared a little bit, but it is what it is. You do what you need to do to take care of yourself. I have to be
But
healthy if I expect to help anyone else,
yeah,
right?
but it's trying to admit that sometimes to other people that I've now that it's behind me, I can talk about it and realize that that was the lowest part in my life.
Hmm. But
And
when you're in it, you can't tell anyone. You don't even want to admit it to yourself.
no, you just lock it away, put
Yeah.
on that that your mask, and keep running.
Ron Darrell Adventure says, Aaron, there are tears in my eyes. I've been right there. I was a medic in Nam, and you have folks rooting for you. And you know what? By you sharing this, there are so many people, regardless of age or gender, that are benefiting from hearing someone opening up and talking about it. Because there
Well,
used to be a taboo. I work with people all the time to deal with it, but I didn't want to tell anyone when it was me. I know a lady that she dealt with cancer, recovered, and dealt with depression, and she said the depression was harder. She
I
would
believe it.
rather deal with cancer again than the depression. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, because you can't put an IV in to get rid of it.
No, no. Box Van D says that's how she was addicted to gambling. You just go mind dead in a casino, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, a
you don't have
person's
you don't have to think
even
about it.
food. Food. I'm
Yep.
totally guilty of the food, right? I use that to self medicate very much.
Chocolate chip ice cream.
Don't even get me started.
Oh,
No, thanks for sharing that, Aaron. It means a lot. And you can see
Well,
in the chat, there's so many people that completely identify it, and people don't bring it up until someone else does.
talking about my dad is probably the worst. That's why I'm tearing up now. It's just that's still a demon that's there, and a loss of a loved one that's just so hard.
I
It's just
know.
so hard.
I reshared a stream that I had made private for a couple months, and I talked a little bit about the loss of my sister and medication, counseling really, really was key for me though, because there's when we lose people that we're close to, there always seems to be some kind of guilt that's usually misplaced, but there's always some regret or guilt that we put on ourselves that's not appropriate,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, I
you're
think
your
that's a
hardest
very
critic.
exactly. And I think sometimes when you can bounce that off of someone and they guide some of your thinking and point the fallacies out, you go, oh, ding, 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 that's right. That's not my fault. There's nothing I could change. For me, for instance, I've always felt guilty that I was the healthy one.
It's that
That's not
idea
my
that you
fault.
it's the idea that what shoulda, woulda, coulda. I should have
Yep.
done this. I could have talked to him more. I could have done more things. I spent at that point 15, 16 years away from my parents. I was in the military. I had already been halfway around the world 4 times before that happened. But I made that choice at 17. I made a choice and I made a commitment to something other than myself, and that's where not a lot of people do that anymore. That's why they call the military the 1 or 2 percenters, just like the motorcycle gangs. There's only 1 or 2% in the world that will volunteer themselves to go off to do the unknown because you don't know until you get there. This is what we're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the truth. I mean, and being in a military environment when one of your buddies is not feeling right, what is the first thing you do? You take him out and you buy him a beer, and
Yeah.
maybe he'll talk it out or maybe he won't, but at least I did my part, and that's where I was. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way things were. I went. It was horrible.
It's debilitating. Like, I know in my first times that I dealt with it, I actually thought there was something physically wrong with me. I didn't clue in what it was because everything in my life was great at the time. It made no sense when I first initially got hit. I was like, well, there has to, like, I must be low in something or there must be anything else. Please, God, let it be anything else. Right.
But it
But,
actually is because it's a chemical imbalance in your body. Your
mm-hmm.
receptors are taking in things that they don't normally would, which that's what causes the depression. I was After I got out of the military, I was going for the same thing that you're doing, Paula. I was going to be a counselor. I was going to be a drug rehabilitation or a social worker. That was what I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
go to school for. And because of that, you have to go through some of the psychology classes. I was on a PTSD review and education program. That was I wanted to do a specific interest in dealing with vets. So they handpicked me to take this class because it was a through the University of Iowa, and we went through and talked about some of our issues and some of the things that are out there that can help vets and some of the things that work, some of the things that don't work,
Mm-hmm.
medication, self-medication, because I know a lot of veterans, when they get out, they go straight to the hardcore stuff because now they've got access to it, where before they would have got kicked out for it. So they
Yeah.
self-medicate and end up in another road and end up homeless and all this other stuff. But we kind of took all of that information and dealt with the receptors inside of your brain that's getting the wrong it's cross-fed. It's not a normal traffic pattern. You go from A to B, there's a stoplight in the middle and it gets something else that it's not supposed to get, and that's why the depression is there. That's what's causing all the issues. But how do you work with that? Most
Yeah.
people want to drink.
Yeah. And if they continue to do that, the medication is never going to help them.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the first step is admitting you have a problem and you need help. That's the best way I can put it.
And even then, it can take so many years to make a change and it's gradual and you're going to fall back, you're going to relapse. Also, we're all human. No one is perfect, but you have to keep trying and you have to find people that you can trust. And I think the more that a person can open up and talk about it, there's a lot of healing to that too.
I don't know about trust. It's I know in the veteran community, other veterans can help each other out because they've got that same understanding. You said in your last one of your last lives that you and I talked about the military that you didn't understand. You couldn't relate to
No,
it. If you weren't
I
there,
know that
you
I
don't
can't.
know.
Yeah,
But being another veteran that has done the same thing, been down that same road, had some of the same things happen to them, the trust is already there. There's a brotherhood, there's a bond that, and that's what I told. I got a stepson that was in the, or my son, Lori's son, went to the National Guard, and I said, now, I said before he goes, I said you're going to change, and you're not going to realize you changed. But when she got home, I said, now, do you feel what the change? And he goes, yes. And I'm like, now you and I have a bond that your other brothers don't understand.
yeah.
And he went, I get it now. And I went, there, see, you understand.
Well, and that's where any kind of support groups are fantastic because you have people that understand and they get it.
Hmm.
And it normalizes some of the feelings that you feel so alone in,
Hmm.
right? A lot of times you think no one else would understand, no one gets it, and then most of the public wouldn't. But when you're in a group of people that have a lot of the similar circumstances, it can be the
Right.
most amazing support.
The first time I actually realized that I had PTSD, I was home right after I got back out of Desert Storm. I came back to the States. I was on leave. I was having something done to my truck. I took it in and was having it worked on, and they said, okay, it'll be about 2 hours. Well, I wasn't going to go anywhere. I went out to the back of the parking lot and I'm standing back there and I'm kind of watching traffic. It's kind of cool. I haven't been home in a long time and I'm blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden they have these uh, emergency warning tests that they do once a month in the States. And they alarm, it's a blast. It's just like the storm warning system. They did a blast of it. They did a second blast of it. By the time the second one went off, I was in the ditch and I was looking with an M16 in my hand, and I'm looking and I'm scanning because that's what had happened to me before, and it was a
Yeah,
reaction. And that's when I got up. I stood up. I'm all mudded up, and I'm like, I need help. I need some serious help with this because I don't. I just did that. It was reaction. It was not
yeah.
it was a reactionary response, and that's one that my wife has only heard that story once ever, and I've shared it with you twice.
And I
And
appreciate that.
I got
And
up
I
and
know it's not easy.
well,
There,
it's hard to admit some of that stuff because that's so personal. That's so uh,
there's a lot of people in the chat that are commenting that may not normally have put a comment in if you weren't here sharing yours, right? Like
yeah.
Dale Bruce, the bond between veterans is stronger than family bonds for him. So he knows what you mean.
Uh,
You know, vets should be supported more. Somebody asked Ron, you know, what it was like to be in combat. And, you know, a person, you can't understand comparing, like, I can talk about having a baby, and there's only so much you can comprehend, but you're never going to understand what it's like. Everything you went through to a certain element, I hear what you're saying, but I would never, ever be able to even comprehend. I know that,
well,
right?
there's one movie that really put a good emphasis on it, and that was the Band of Brothers, because that's what you are. You rely on the guy next to you, and they rely on you. Your
Mm-hmm.
battle buddy, your shipmate, they're there to help you get through that type of stuff. You're there to watch
Yeah.
each other's back.
I want to address this point that Box Van D just made about how some support groups are about wallowing in self pity, and that's true. But it depends if that's what they're doing. That's maybe not a group for you. There's going to be an element of that all the time too, because that's part of the healing process. I actually facilitate support groups within the role that I have, and we leave laughing. We can be in tears in the middle of it, but we leave laughing. It depends how it's facilitated too.
Yeah, and it depends on, like you said, the facilitator. Some people need that though. Some
Yeah.
people need that self wallowing before they can figure it out and then come out the other end. Other
Mm-hmm.
people They just want you to hand them a magic pill, and they don't understand why and it takes them forever. I just want something to make it all go away. There's nothing you can do to make it all go away. You've got to be able to you got to be able to love yourself first, understand what the problem is, find the way of getting away from that and coming out the other side and being better than what you went than when you went in. At least for me, that's how it helped me. I didn't understand what was wrong. By the time I figured out what was wrong, I was then I understood, and then I made it out.
Yeah. So meant to be RVing. Teresa's asking, Aron, where did you find your biggest strength or support?
It wasn't my family. It wasn't my friends. It was actually through the VA, and oh, I went to a lot of group therapies with other veterans. That's why I made an emphasis of that. People couldn't understand; they couldn't relate to what I was going through, and I had PTSD. But then when my dad passed away, it all came at me at once because I could deal with my PTSD on a daily basis. But then when
Yeah.
my dad passed away, now I'm dealing with all of that on a daily basis, plus trying to put this makeup on every morning that I was fine and everything was peachy. But with the
Mhm.
combination of two of them, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't continue to put up a mask and fake my way through a day. I had to do something. The first I got put on medications, went to the therapies, went to more therapies, went to more therapies. And then after that, that's when I decided, this is something I really feel that I could do with the rest of my life. And that's where I started going to college for it. And I was
Mhm.
doing all of this other stuff. And a lot of the classes I was taking, they had what they called the aha moments. And that's where you would find out and discover something about yourself that you didn't know that you knew about yourself, or things that you were interested in, or channels and avenues that you could do that. And Paula's going to show you some of the in a little bit some of the ways that I channeled a lot of that energy was through my woodworking. And that's
Mhm.
part of the stuff that I was talking with Lori about when we first got into this lifestyle. Was the one thing that I missed the most was my other avenue for getting rid of my stress and dealing with some of the pains and aches that I was still having through woodworking. And to me, that is the most self-relaxing thing. Nobody else has any input in it. I can do whatever I want to do. I can make I can make things do different things. I can use different woods. I can do stain it this way. I can do it all my way. And if you want to critique it, it's right there.
I did that with painting. Like the pictures, you
Yeah.
can just see a tip of them behind.
Yeah.
And the reason I like that is there's stress when we look to the past that we can't change, and you look too far into the future that you can't control. But when you're here in this moment has no stress. And that's what art was to me, just being in this moment
Right.
completely.
But that's what my
Yeah.
woodworking became. That's where
Yeah.
the sign designs came from. That's where the whole thing with the signs came from in the first place. I just didn't wake up one day and said, I'm going to make camp signs. I think that's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
That was I was missing that piece of my life where I can just sit down and create, and that's where I do that.
Wow, Aron, I gotta thank you for sharing all the stuff you did. It's not
Well,
easy, but it's appreciated.
it's that's a part of me. I can't change it. I can't go back and redo it. The only thing I can do, like you said, is worry about today and not tomorrow. But that's another issue that I have is I go to lay, the brain don't shut off.
Yeah.
I can lay there all night long and I'm thinking, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And that's another side effect of the PTSD is that when you're wallowing in it. And then when it's time not to wallow in it, everything else floods in because I put the blockers on,
Mm-hmm.
and then it rushes and it hits hard. I mean, it really hits hard. You're like, whoa.
Yeah. So let's show them some of that fantastic, amazing work that you do. Let's do that.
Okay. Not Jackie
Oh,
Chan.
not Jackie Chan. Oh, your bike. We missed the
Yes.
bike. That's your Harley
After I retired from the
picture that one.
military in 2007, I went out and bought myself a brand new Heritage Harley Davidson, that's it right there. That was on 7/11. I retired in September of that year. So just before I retired. I bought it. No, that was a year and a half afterwards.
Do you
That
still
was
have it?
no, I do not. I've got such bad knees now from all the things that I did in the military that I've had 2 surgeries on my right knee, and they told me that if I go in for another surgery, that we're going to probably have to replace it. I'm only 52 years old, and they wear out after 10 years, and I do not want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm
Mm-hmm.
around till I'm 90, I really don't want to continue to go get knee surgeries over and over and over.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 D.
Okay, I think the next one's the artwork.
Well,
Wait, no, it's not. What
that
is that? What do you
is
have a big bison there for?
okay. So when I went back out to Washington State, I went home to Iowa after I got out of the Navy. I went back to Iowa for a year. Went through one winter there, and it was like I can't do this. So this is Lori and I's first trip ever, and that's the picture of the bison as we were coming through Yellowstone. He was standing there like he was posed for a picture. It was like they had him chained to the rail there, but he was free to go anytime he wanted to. So that's the bison.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast they can move and stuff too.
Oh,
That's
just the sheer
something
size of
we
him compared to a truck. You're like, oh boy.
we actually have a lot of farms that are raising them for meat out here.
Well, they do the same thing in the States now. Now,
Yeah.
this is the beginning of the artwork that I do. This particular type of woodworking is called intarsia, and it's been around for since the 20th century. What that means is they take different species of wood and then they combine them into a an example right there, the 2 roses. The yellow rose was a rose that was my parents' wedding anniversary, or when they got married. That was the rose that my mom carried with her uh, down the aisle. So she has
Okay.
that one. The red rose is the one that I gave to Lori.
So okay, how did you get every piece? Those are all individual pieces of wood to make that?
Yep. And they're all going in different grain directions too. So you have to go through and actually cut out pieces and make them fit together like a piece of a puzzle.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
How I'm like how do you even start to wrap your
There
head
is
around
probably
that work?
in each piece is individually touched. So I have to individually sand each one of those pieces to get it to fit together and look correctly.
Wow.
So if you go to the next one, I don't know what you got on that is a beagle pup. That is a second one. And if you look at the nose, it's actually raised. So it gives it more of a 3D appearance.
Okay.
So on the top of the where the ears are, that is all made out of, I want to say, oak. The brown is a walnut. The eyes are a walnut. The nose is a walnut. The little mouthpiece is a walnut, and then you got some oak in the feet, and then the what the white. I don't remember what the white is, but that's another species of wood. So each one of those is individually cut, and
Wow.
this is what I found that helped me with all of my depression was to sit there and make these things because again, like I said, nobody can tell you what direction to go and which way to make things move and how to make it look 3D. It was just me sitting
Mhm.
and looking at it for myself and going, okay, this is what I want to do. And you can see that was in 2008. I don't know which
Wow.
one you got for the next one.
You have such a creative mind to be able to do that. Ooh, look at that.
That is a sailboat. Again, there's different species, different species of wood there. And the sail, I think I've got a before and after picture of that. Don't I have one before I put stain on it? Nope,
Oh
that's
wait,
Wolfie.
there we
Okay, there
go.
it is. So that's what it originally looked like. That was the layout. Now, to help with all of this, I have an uncle before he passed away. He had thousands of dollars worth of patterns. And every time I saw him, I asked him all kinds of questions about this intarsia because he used to make this stuff for family reunions and he would sell them off. He would make all of them and then they'd have an auction and sell them to the different family members. So I have one of his original artwork that he made. Well, when he passed away in his will, he gave me all of those all of his patterns, and we're talking. I probably have 3,000 patterns that he ended up
Oh,
giving to me in tubes. So I have a. And that's one of those things that I will never get rid of, and I still have those, and I will
so do you
continue to
have a
have those.
storage space that you keep stuff like
No,
that?
mm-mm.
You have that all in your RV with you.
I have all of those. Yeah, all of those plans are in here because I can't get rid of
Wow.
them. There's just no way I can't. That was something that was passed on. But that is the original one. That's all the different types of stuff, and that's what it ended up with.
Oh
I
yeah, a
ended
little
up.
penny there to show
That's to show
size.
the size. Yeah, the flag and everything else. That one's actually.
Wow.
I still have that piece.
So how much would
Again,
you sell things like that for, Aaron?
it's hard to sell that because I can't compete with the Japanese or China. They make the same ones in China, and it's like a third of what it would cost for me to make it because it's all woods. You can't just get a piece of wood for cheap. I have to go through and pick out stuff and the different grain
Hmm.
patterns and try and get it to matched up. It's just hard to do that.
I think that when a person knows the artist or the creator, that makes a difference too.
Well,
Like,
I've
I
been
mean,
asked
you can even throw
before
that to the chat. I mean, there's probably lots of people now seeing this, knowing that it was you that made it, that would want it.
now, but I don't have the shop for it. I don't have any of my tools. I sold all that stuff off so that I could be doing what I'm doing now. And
Yeah.
that's Wolfie. That's the first one that I made and I gave to Lori. If I should have gotten a closer picture of it, I went through and actually scruffed up so it looks like fur all the way through that.
Oh, okay.
It's all textured, and then it's got the 3D and then the eyes and that is made all out of cedar, and it's different colors of cedar.
Hmm. There's a
But
point here about selling on Etsy because people love handmade stuff.
I
They do.
would love to go back and do it, but I would have to get a travel or a trailer just to put all of my work stuff into it to go do stuff like this.
Well, I mean, you could come up with another variation too, Aaron. You make a lot of signs for other YouTubes that you craft with wood. I mean,
Yep,
it- I know you're a busy guy, but it's food for thought
I know.
because people are really interested in this. Like what would you sell that boat for if you had the ability to make more?
I would have to go back and look at it because it's so much per piece. Because I have to touch every individual piece. I have to round it. I have to shape it. I have to sand it to get it so that it fits in and it looks like it's flowing.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like $3 a piece. That one, I don't even know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Whoa,
6,
how
7, 8,
many
9, 10, 11, 12,
pieces?
13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 pieces. So 20 times 3 or 20 times 5. I mean, some of these people go up to 10. So it'd be like a $200-300 piece.
There's people already wanting to buy them, Aaron.
Well, as you can see, I haven't really made any of these since like 2008. I mean, this is when I was going through all of that depression stuff. And you can see that I put my heart and soul into a lot of this because it
Yeah.
was like that to get the
Yeah,
pieces in there
everyone's
right.
telling me get a blanket trailer. I got a few of those comments in here.
Get a
Three for
damn
sure
trailer.
telling you to go get a trailer for the tools.
But then we're okay. Then what do I do for a car? I mean, it's
Oh,
one of
they
those
don't have all
balances.
the answers. They just really love seeing the work that you're doing. And okay, so we saw that one. Oh my, look at that. Is that
Look,
ever pretty?
I have made 3 of those. My mom has one, Lori has one, and her mom has one.
Oh, that is so nice.
The one that I made for Lori is right up here. It's the where the TV cabinet used to be. So I put a door on it, and that's where that one's at.
Wow. I think we got one more here. Oh, that is so awesome.
That's the beach
Wow.
one.
Yeah, in this picture, I can see more of the textures, the way
Yeah.
the photo's taken.
Yep.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
actually the floor. I just thought it was interesting that with the pattern that was there, it just fits really well. That was the carpet that was in that house I was in at the time. It's and then for me being in the military, being in a sailor, the lighthouse has always been a common theme that I've always loved because that's the light that gets you home.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
where that always you see if You see, most of the stuff I do is either boat related, fishing, or that type of stuff. So
Well, it all has
that's why.
meaning, and everybody that's like a lot of people in this chat already know you, but not as deep as what you just shared today. And it
Mhm.
just it it makes them really want it even more. Even like there's a few people that are saying ditch your car and get the
I
but
can
like
have a car.
DJ says, it's actually super amazing. Never even seen stuff like this before. There's a lot of people that really haven't. And I think we're going back into times where people truly have an appreciation for this stuff more than some past.
I don't know, because when I was in Amana colonies used to be known for their woodworking. It's the old German style. And you go in there and you will see people walk right out and go, that stuff's just too expensive. It's all handcrafted. I'm talking about furniture that is using the original patterns from the 1800s. They still use that old world way of doing things, and they won't buy them because they're expensive. For one of their table chair sets, I'm talking about a table and four chairs, is going to be about $10,000. But that was
Mm-hmm.
all handcrafted, and all of those businesses are closing because of COVID. They don't get the people coming in and look at the inventory,
Yeah.
and that's where it's hard for me. And I saw tons of the Antarctica stuff, like the stuff I've made, that I could have been selling there, but people aren't going in to buy it. I can get the same thing on Amazon with the same pattern, and
But people aren't just buying anything because it looks nice. They're buying a part of your story, right?
well, some people
It,
are.
well, right. I bet you could probably go on your channel and set up a thing where people literally are pre-ordering and you'd already have sales. Just because people know you, want to support you. It's beautiful as it is, but to know the person creating it and the story and the heart behind it, that's what
Well,
makes it magical. That's why we love when we get gifts from our kids, right?
yeah.
Because we know them, we they're important to us and it means a lot. It's that same idea
But
here.
that was the same kind of concept I was thinking, and Lori and I talked about it years before I started making signs about doing that. If we're going to go full time, how can I make some extra cash? And that was, to me, that was making signs. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, it's going to be too loud, that people are going to be upset about it, and I kind of put it away. I got to Amana, and one of the guys that was work camping there, he's like, you ever seen this? And I'm like, yeah, I've watched lots of videos on how to make signs. How come you never took the plunge? I said, because I thought it made too much noise. He goes, is it making too much noise? I said, no. So an hour later, I went down and got a router and started making signs because I was
Yeah, but
missing that.
something that's made by a famous YouTuber is way better than something made in China.
Quick kicks my behind there, DJ.
It's true though. He's not the only one saying it. I just highlight some of his.
Well, I like what Badge put up there. I'm way too talented for YouTube. It's another avenue. It, it's another avenue
Mm-hmm.
for me because I still have that interest. I've had the photography bug since I was 10 or 12, and I had a camera everywhere I went back when my parents wouldn't give me anything but the little push recyclables that you take in and do that. And I was getting tips and pointers on how to take pictures. And then I took a class in junior high. I took a class in high school. I was one of the photographers for the newspaper, the yearbook. I mean, I was the go-to guy for photography. I was even got into clubs underage to take pictures of bands when I was in high school because I was the one. You were the talented one with the camera. Let's go. Come on in. Let's go. Let's take
Mm-hmm.
pictures. And then
I guess YouTube's just a new venue for you to focus your time and attention into because you can tell that you must get some enjoyment out of it. Your videos are very well done.
sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. I mean, starting out, that's why everybody says, well, the thumb downs. So that used to bug me. I would get like 10, 15 of them on a video. But then I realized that that's what's pushing me. I got to put, okay, that one, the quality wasn't that good. Let's up my game. Let's push a little harder. Let's push a little harder. Let's push a little harder. And then you find that groove. That's what we were saying the other night was once you find your groove and your rhythm, nobody can stop you once you get that. I've got
Mm-hmm.
the DIY stuff down. Now I'm trying to branch out to some of the other stuff. That's why I was asking questions about travel videos. It's a sequence, it's a rhythm. Once you find that, then you're fine. It's the
Hmm.
same thing with wood cutting, or same thing with life. When you never, you're you're born, you have no clue. You reach your teenagers, you think you know everything about it, and then you realize, well, I got to grow and do something else. And then by the time you figure it out, you're already 50, and you're like, what now? And you know what I'm talking about because you're there now too. It's like, what now? My
Yeah.
kids are gone. I've got nothing else to concentrate all my energy on. So what do? I go to
And we
woodworking
need to
and
keep those voices out of the head, or, keeping our minds active, not just for our brain health, but for our mental health.
yep.
So, like, I know for me, the YouTube stuff that I've done, and I know there's so much that needs to be improved, but I like working hard. I like learning. I like having a goal. I like seeing things get better.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm achieving something. The downside with YouTube is, though, there's more vulnerability than maybe in art. My paintings that are in my house, nobody's critiquing them. And people that come into the house will just say nice things because they know me. Like, it could be garbage and
But
they're
but
still gonna just
it's
say nice
but
things.
it's the same thing with the woodworking. I've never sold any of my pieces ever. I've given them away, but I've never sold any of them because to me, it's helped me to deal with the stress and the anxiety and some of the pains and sufferings that I've always had to deal with. And why would I give that to somebody else? I want to sell it. They're not going to understand the all that stuff that went into that. So I try to hold on to those pieces, and then if I meet somebody and I feel like, hey, here, I'm giving you
Mm,
a part of my soul, my inner being. Here, you can have a piece of that.
yeah.
So that's why I don't sell stuff. That's I've had people throughout the years say you should do this and you should do that, and it's like, yeah, well, it's like selling a oh here, have my arm, take it, I don't need it anymore. I, it's hard to do that.
I understand it. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but
Then I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to that stuff anyway. So
your own worst critic.
well, that's why I push myself with the videos. I try to do something a little bit different in each one, and now I'm kind of stuck in that rut where my product reviews are pretty much the same thing every time. So now I'm looking at a different avenue of how can I make this better. If you don't push, you just get stagnant. So
Mm-hmm. Always have to have a new goal or a new aspiration, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
now I
Wow.
need to make one for my motorcycle. There's patterns out there, Deej. I can vouch for that.
Oh, was that?
Or you,
Oh, of your motors. I totally didn't see that.
and we were in talk.
Uh,
We've been talking when I was in Atlanta. When they came up for the visit, Pause and Effect came up. I ended up borrowing a bike and rode all over the place with them and had a real good time with it. And it didn't bother my knee with the brace. So now we're talking about maybe getting an extra hitch to put a motorcycle on the back of this one because I really miss that. I miss that wind therapy of driving
yeah.
down the road and
I think, as long
ah,
as something's healthy and it's not hurting one and it feels good, we need to say yes more to them,
yep,
right? We talk ourselves out of stuff. We justify the things we enjoy away. And it's like we've grown up doing that, and we need to change that. Right? If it makes me happy now and I can do it and it's not bringing harm to anyone, then I'm going to start learning to say yes.
right. And she's got it right there when it says, I give away, I make, and I make other people smile. And that's me.
Mhm.
That's truly what I try to do with the signs. I give you the first one free, but I'm going to charge you for the other one. The on you made or as seen on YouTube sign.
Yeah, oh yeah. Kathleen says she just had an idea. She's going to start a retreat location for the nomads to stop and create. That would be fun.
Actually, that's what they used to call communes in the '60s. Was that for that exact reason, so
Okay,
that people
what?
could the communes, the commune. That's where that used to come from, so that other people in that were hippies could all go to the same place, work on their poem, their poetries, music, and all that other stuff. That's what it was designed for originally. But then they started doing too much LSD and all the drugs. And
The whole cult kind of thing
yeah, then it
came
became a
out.
burnouts and all that fun stuff. But that was the original design of a commune was that everybody could come together communitively. Is that even a word? But
Something
anyway,
like that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, as a community and make things and do the beads and be happy. And yeah.
I have to have that experience at least once in my life. Kathleen, when we can all travel where we want, you let me know when you're planning it and I'll be there. That would be fun. That would be so much fun. I wouldn't want to live there. I wouldn't mind a week of it.
Let's see. Britton Farms is asking me about if I ever thought about doing a woodworking channel. That's where I was going to go with before I lost all my fish. I was going to open up another one, start another one, but it was going to be of the fish stuff. And then when I lost all that, then it switched to okay, the RV because we needed that was the next progression for me. And there's a whole story behind all that too. I
Mm-hmm.
could really go into that of why we
Hey,
decided to go
floor is
into RV.
yours, my friend. This has been very,
Well,
very excellent.
there's a big story behind it. Wasn't just the fish stuff that was going on at the time. Lori was having a lot of health issues. Lori
Mm-hmm.
has a degenerative bone disease that was affecting her back. She ended up having a back surgery, her gallbladder removed, her adenoids were removed, and then she eventually, because of that, lost all of her teeth. So she has a big phobia of being on the camera because of that.
Yep, yep.
And then just right after we got into the RV, she had a bout where it's called, I don't remember what it's called. I can't think about it. We've been on here for an hour and a half already, and I'm losing the thought thing. She ended up having a section of her large intestines removed. She
Oh,
had a
did she have
blowout,
Crohn's?
Crohn's disease. That's exactly what it is. And she had a blowout. I say that she was full of shit for a couple days, but that's exactly what it was.
Like a
She
flare
had a
up?
tear. Well, it wasn't a flare up. It was a full tear explosion. It was oozing out of her
Oh,
body.
that's
And I got her
toxic.
into the hospital. Yeah, got her into the hospital. We didn't know at the time that that's what it was, but we got into the hospital and we're sitting in the waiting or not, we're sitting in the waiting room. We finally get in the waiting room and we get into the opposite. We're waiting for the doctor to come in, and one of the doctors across the counter, they got the thin little sheets there. He was
Mhm.
thinking that she was a drug seeker, and I
That's
about came
terrible, hey?
unglued. I about came unglued. And I went, you're going to get her an MRI right now. We're going to figure out what the hell's going on. And they finally got her into the MRI, took her down there, and they came back and he was apologizing from head to toe if she needed anything. Found out that was going on, and 2 hours later she was in surgery, and they removed, yeah, a large amount of her stuff,
Do you
and
want to
she,
know how I knew what you were talking about right away?
because you
That's
probably
what
have
my
had it too.
sister had.
Oh,
That's what my sister had years ago when it was even less known about it.
yeah.
So I understand even through the Crohn's, the loss of the thinning hair, the all the your body's not absorbing the nutrients anymore. Yeah. Yeah.
So she ended up having the surgery. Well, I lost her 3 times in a
Mm-hmm.
month because she had the blood clots and they
Yeah.
were getting ready to go into her lungs. So she was having issues with that. She was hallucinating. Um, it was another rough time, but that time I had family that were very understanding and willing to talk to me and help me through a lot of that stuff. Well, she was in the hospital. She was put in a medical coma. I mean, it was a rough time. We ended up with all that was done. That's how I know a lot about what Northwest camping's going through right now. The Northwest RV living, or I can't remember what the name of the channel is, where he's on a wound pump. Well, Lori was on a wound pump. She had a 10-inch gash that was in her stomach where they removed that and had a stoma. So who gets to change the stoma? I do.
Mm-hmm.
What do I know
Yeah.
about stomas and colostomy bags? I knew nothing. They had me so scared of that thing. You should have seen that first one I tried to cut out, and I'm all doing it nice and pretty, trying to get the hole just about right. By the end of it, I was just like, we're good. But yeah, that's when it was like that was the wake up call for us. After she got done with that and got the reconnection surgery, got everything put back together, it was like, what's our date? We're leaving. We're out of Seattle. Seattle is slowly killing both of us. When are we going to go? And we set a date, and that's when we left on this journey. Was because that whole Northwest Woods. Thank you.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
because of
no,
that.
that, there's a lot you talk about in your life that I don't understand, but being the bystander to someone dealing with that I do know. My
Well, I
sister never
was
did get her clots to me, but she had like a
yeah,
foot and a half of one of her
yeah.
intestines removed and more blood transfusions than she was years alive.
But they didn't have a choice
Yeah.
because the tear was so large and the amount of bile that was in her system. It's lucky that she didn't shut down. But that was some of the after effect after the surgery was
Yep.
that she was having pulmonary embolisms. She was having the bile was affecting other organs. She went into a shutdown at one time. That's where they induced her into a coma. And so, yeah,
You're starting to
it's
break
not
up a
fun.
little bit. I don't know, is your device getting hot?
No. Just
Yeah,
want to
no.
shoot that thing
But you
sometimes.
know what? That is another topic that people don't talk about a lot because it's got to do with, intestinal issues. But again, it's important for people to be able to talk about that. And you are froze in a funny little, oh, now your eye moved. Oh, froze again. Let's say, oh, I hope I don't get froze. I have such funny expressions. I can only imagine what my face would look like.
Let me go see if that thing, I probably got to
Yeah, you're
unplug it
not
again.
moving and we can't hear you.
Hold on.
But there are nice comments like how you're very relatable, Aaron. And it looks like we're having problems for me because I have a note saying having trouble connecting because unstable internet connection. I'm literally sitting right by my Wi-Fi box. Wow. Oh, we see your background. Aaron's stream is fine for you, then it was for me. Sorry, guys.
It
It's
was
me
warm.
because I just got a notification here. It's
It was
apparently a
warm.
problem
So I
on
put a
my
fan on it.
end.
Really?
Well,
Huh.
I got a notification saying that something about my Wi-Fi connection. I've never actually seen that come up in StreamYard to me before. I'm literally sitting right beside it.
Well, mine was hot, so I just put
Anyways,
the fan on it, and it seems to be working. So,
see, and here's someone says, actually, Polly, he's fine. You're freezing. Oops. That's not how I was seeing it.
oh well.
Must be a problem out here then. I don't know.
Oh
Some are
well.
saying there's
It's
no
good now.
problems.
So, what other
Yeah.
pictures did I give you?
I think that was it, Aaron. Honest to
Oh,
goodness, I think that was all we had. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well,
Some great stuff. And it is so nice to know the story behind the art. It's nice to know the story behind the man that is Aron Jemison.
well, you wanted to do something different, so I gave you stuff to do things different.
Well, when you've been watching some of my streams lately too, and there's been a lot more of people opening up on things, right? So I appreciate you
Yeah.
doing that as well. We need to see a smile like this man. I never seen anyone look so happy.
That's my smile.
It's so cutie patootie. I had
Yeah.
no idea that you were into the arts though. That's so cool. And I didn't know that you were thinking along the same lines of work that I
Yeah.
do. I think that's really interesting too.
Well, I've always had a thing. I always like people. I've always liked, and I always hate people. It's that I don't know. It's that double-edged sword being in that type of work. You love to hate people. That's when I had an
Mhm.
interview for a work camping position. She said, "What do you like the most about work camping?" And I said, "People." And she goes, "Well, what do you like the least about work camping?" And I said, "The people, because it's you got some of the greatest people in the world in this community, and you have some of the nastiest people in this community. Because
Mhm.
either you got a lot of money or you don't have a lot of money."
Kathleen says the bison bull is emblematic of Aaron. Strong. I think that's fantastic. But we have one off the topic, and maybe this would be a good way to wrap up the interview is something a little less stressful. Is what do you think is better, like an RV, a van? Did you ever consider a van, or has it been RV only all the way?
I've always wanted a Class C, which is that's the the best way I can do a compromise between the two, because you've got the maneuverability of a van, you've got the living space of an RV, and it's put together. That's the best way I can describe it. That's what I wanted to do, and Lori said, "No, if I'm going to live in it, I want space. I wanted the maneuverability. If it was just me by myself, I would be in a van, hands down, because of the stealthiness."
Okay, this is gonna sound stupid because I watch all these streams. I'm a part of this community, but I always get mixed up. What's a class C? What's class this? What's class that? So
Okay,
what's a
the
class C?
class A is like what I have. I have basically a bus.
Okay.
The class B is a van. A class C is the combination of the two, where it's the overbed. It looks like a van underneath, but it's bigger and taller and has that front sleeping area on it. That's a class C.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I feel it's the best way to be because you got both worlds. You got room, but you got the maneuverability.
Mm-hmm.
Class A, I can't just take this downtown to, say, because I'm in Florida, we'll say Miami, and park it on the street and be able to just sleep there and nobody's going to come knock at the door,
Yeah.
because they're going to know, hey, you're homeless or you're not supposed to be here, so you need to go.
Yeah.
I would be in the van because I have seen a few of them on the internet where it looks like a business owns it. I would have the fake sticker on the side that says call 1-800 blah 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 blah, and we'll have a technician come out to you right away. The outside would look like it's a contractor's van, but the inside would be all decked
Ah,
out the way I want it.
nice. Nice. What is this van? Minivan works for me, but I'm short, Kathleen. Lucy really likes her class C.
So
Yeah.
that's the maneuverability. I could drive that thing. And we didn't even touch the ambulance stuff that I did for a while. And that's kind of
Oh,
why I took an interest in you. When I first met, right after I got out of the military, I was a general manager of an Arby's. I didn't like that, so because it was too slow and too monotonous, everything was the same every single day. So I applied and was for a driver position at an ambulance in a little town in Iowa, and was picked up, and I became a professional ambulance driver, a professional driver. I got paid to drive. And that's where I met Lori. She was the EMT that was in the back. And we were
oh,
on
that's so
runs all the
cool.
time and partnered together, and we were really good at what we did. And then it formed into a relationship, and here we are. But that's why I started watching yours, because it was like, ambulance. She's converting an ambulance? Really? I got to check this out.
You know, and I really haven't showed very much of the interior yet. It's that whole
No,
I
you
love
have more video of
everybody's.
Badge working on your RV or on your ambulance than you do of you.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, his stuff shows a lot of stuff I've done a lot. Like for what he did with the battery was like like it was a lot of yeah, you did this, but you should have, tightened things tighter than with your fingers. Every single little thing there was like something that I learned from him.
Yeah.
But man, it was hard keeping up with him. At least with today's video is some good sneak peeks into there. And with my 1.5 minute trailer that I did, there's a bit in there.
Yeah.
I will do the tour yet. I don't know why I'm so nervous. I feel like it's only
Because
going to
it's
be
your
done
home.
once, and I want it to be done well. I
It's
don't
Paula's
know.
crib.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like it. I'm very comfortable in there. It's perfect for me. And I don't know if I'm really ready for someone to critique that.
Why?
I don't know. I'm still learning and growing too, buddy.
Well, that's fine. That's all
Oh
right.
my goodness.
I had Sherry over here today and was helping her with her van.
Oh,
And
is Sherry from Fantastic Travels
yeah,
there?
yeah, she was here today.
Oh,
I
okay.
spent like
Nice.
4 hours going through looking at the different things and some of the designs and stuff that she wants to work on. So I'm going to help her with that before she goes out to courtside. I was like,
Mhm.
you're not going to drive all the way out there and not know if this thing is going to work right.
Yeah. Yeah, some of us that really don't have that mechanical mind are very thankful for those that help us that do. Johnny's Journey's got a comment here, like, cause she does have on her channel as well. And that's what first caught my attention too, is the ambulance build that she had done. And it's thanks to that build where she showed the timer at the door. And I never knew what that was for. And then I saw that it was a timer, and then Badge turned it into just a pull off and on light switch that I would have just cut out and not done anything with. But I had no idea what it did, what the function was for, or anything, because the only place I'd ever seen that was on Johnny's Journey's video. So it was very helpful. And 360 gal, she had converted a bus, but now she's doing an ambulance conversion as well.
Did she
Kind
sell
of
the
neat.
bus? Did
I
she
don't know
sell
if
the
she did
bus?
yet. She had it for sale last, I think, Michelle, you're wanting like 25,000 for it.
Not buying a bus.
Yeah.
I have a bus.
You have a bus? What?
My RV is a bus. Might as well be a
Oh.
bus. Just missing the seats. I'm sure she's got some of those for sale too.
Yeah, camping therapy. It is really awesome that Aaron's helping Sherry. I mean, for me, just even having Badge listen to my diesel engine made me feel better, because I don't know what a diesel's supposed to sound like. So I don't know what things I'm supposed to be hearing that does or doesn't make sense. Or even just knowing that my glow plugs are fine, and just those reassurances so I can relax a little more.
Just don't leave your lights on.
Shut up. You know, every time you bug me about leaving my lights on. Hey, it's a 2005. And you know what? That's the thing I got
Yours
to
is newer
remember.
than
All
mine.
of us that go from the front of our vehicle to the back to bed, and if we had to manually turn our lights on, it's very easy to forget because you don't open the door. You don't get that ding, ding, ding that your lights are on. It can happen
You have
to a
analyzed
lot
this
more
too
people
much.
than just me.
You're analyzing this too much.
Yeah, I know. Because you keep teasing. I haven't got a good comeback, Aaron. Cut me some slack.
Oh, I still love that video. Yep, I'm still here.
You're such a turkey.
2 hours later, I'm still here.
Everyone's like, start filming stuff. I don't know.
Just keep filming. Still here. 2 hours later. That's where you need the little time clock in the corner. 2 hours later. 3 hours later.
I wasn't in the very best of moods when I was doing any of the filming. Like, I was legit stuck. Oh, I'm turning all red. I need my hot flash fan. It's my blush fan, I should just call it. Look at this. I know.
You and your neck. Your
I
neck is a
love this
giveaway.
USB fan, though. I
I'm
tell you, this is.
giving all your tells away to the whole YouTube, whoever 50 people
Yeah,
on
it's a
here, or
good thing I
whatever.
don't play poker. I'm gonna start wearing turtlenecks when I go live, or a big scarf. I have no idea what you're talking about, Aaron.
Oh yeah, you do exactly know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, Badge, you pull your auto lights all the time. Well, I forgot to shut mine off. And I'll probably do it again. Yeah, y'all think it's funny. Great. Thanks.
No, Badge, what we need to come up with is an alarm so when she turns off the ignition, it goes ding, 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 ding inside the ambulance, inside the bay.
That's a great idea. And you know he's going to start brainstorming that now.
Well, I love that build for the water treatment thing. I'm like,
The Berkey.
Yeah, I'm going, because that would be nice. It's just big.
Well, I mean, if you had the big Berkey, you're looking at the same size. And I mean, that is a big version. I was thinking today I could have done it smaller as long as the top's still at the same height and used one filter.
Yeah.
I filtered a smaller amount of time. So you can make it a travel size, making it yourself too. But I like having the 8 liters always ready. So
8 liters.
Yeah,
that's 2 gallons.
The glass jug is 8 liters. Yeah,
that's 2 gallons.
Sorry,
the
I'm
more I
talking
talk
Canadian
to you,
again, aren't I?
No, that's fine because you can see I'm going. Okay, now I know what you're talking about.
Well, you know what, and that's how I feel every time I hear you guys talk about the temperature. Because I honestly, and this is going to sound so stupid, I didn't realize that it gets as cold as it does in the U.S. because of the difference in the Fahrenheit versus I always thought freezing is 0 for everybody.
It's 30 for us.
Yeah, that's just boggling my mind.
Well, see, when I went to school,
here, it's hot.
Yeah.
Someone says it was like, what was it, Ray? The year temperature was in your video you were talking about today. Was it like 42 or 40 or something, or 45? And I looked it up. I was like, oh, that's +7 here.
Badge says he can do that for you. He can help you
He
with that
will.
problem.
You watch. He will.
He's already down there saying, yep.
I know he will come up with something. And yeah, I could use a smaller bottom container, but Badge, we could have also, like, we had to have the top one as high as it was. It could have been narrower and used one filter at a time. But it would have taken a lot longer to filter. It takes a while to filter in there as it is.
Well,
But I
yeah,
love it.
it's like trying to push a gallon of water or 2 liters of water or 4 liters of water through a straw.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to describe it, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Raising. Yeah, it was 45. I looked it up. That was like +7 here. I was like, what? That's not even freezing. Just such a jerk.
And Kathleen, -33 is cold anywhere.
Yeah, I think we're all the same at like -40.
No, thank you.
Seriously.
No
Seriously. I
Eskimo
wish
in
if
me.
people showed Ray, the next time you have videos showing the temperature, it'd be nice if you had one that looked like the little thermometer so I could see both numbers. The Celsius and the Fahrenheit. With the digital ones, it's like, I gotta go convert it.
No, you just flip the little switch in the back.
Oh. Oh,
Because it goes
see, I
from
didn't know that.
the Fahrenheit. There's most of them in the States have it on the back. You just push it to which direction
I
you want.
guess.
No
Kathleen's
math.
like, 45's not cold. We're just giving him a hard time now, but he's got some more videos coming out, so I'm looking forward to that. Definitely. And I had a bunch of people encouraging me to do some winter camping.
You got enough votes to make you go, so
Yeah,
now you
so
just
I
got to put
won't
on your.
cancel the plates. I won't cancel the plates. I will do it. And I could
Gotta
probably
put-
make a video just on getting ready to do it, like trying to chisel the ice off my solar panels without wrecking my solar panels.
He told you could do 4 or 5 videos just of that sequence. Getting there, preparing to go, going, arriving, how you set up, then the next video and how you tear down, and then get home, the drive home, and then do a lessons learned while you were out there.
For
And
anyone
what you
that
could do
doesn't know
better.
who he's referring to, Russ from RVer TV was actually on the live stream, between midnight and 2:30 in the morning?
More like 4 o'clock. My time,
You
anyway.
never know who's going to show up on my live streams in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that was a YouTube night. If you want a lot of stuff thrown really fast at you about YouTube and you want to take a bunch of notes, that is the one to go to. That's why I told Paula, I said, you could take this, chop it up, and re-upload it for just that content, just that stuff that we were talking about for YouTube. It's just
so I
so
did rip it
full
out.
of
I
info.
downloaded it off my StreamYard because StreamYard will hold those live streams for 2 weeks. So I just downloaded it down and now I can go in and edit it.
And then just
because I can't edit on YouTube well.
No, I wouldn't do that if you paid me.
Can't even figure that out.
So bulky.
Well, Thursday I have Badge and his brother. And Badge, they're both called Badge to people that know them. So it's 2 badges for the price of 1. We got a little mechanical mayhem going on. We're talking about Mercedes engines. Because there's some in some buses and stuff. And I think they're Peterbilt originally. So yeah, anybody that's into that kind of technical, because Badge is going to come on once or twice a month and do those kind of mechanical things for some lives. Are you frozen?
No, I'm reading the comment. For some reason, I'm fixated on what Badge has to say tonight. So it's just like, what's Badge typing now? He says he's got a big list of stuff for you.
Live stream. Yeah, I could. Badge. That's what I was gonna do. Is like when I cut it out from StreamYard, I have tons of stuff from all these lives. That can be a lot of content re-released later, smaller, more compact versions.
And that's part of the reason why we did not talk about YouTube tonight on purpose, because I was tired and I'm like, whoo.
You can go for
Paula's over there drinking coffee and it's just pumping energy right into both of us. So
now I'm just drinking water. Oh my God, I'm still tired today.
Did you ever figure out, J Rocks wants to know if you ever figured out about that diesel heater? Laugh out loud. I did not say this. I'm reading it.
Okay, so the story with the diesel heater, and it's so funny because just before I started this live stream, I got a call, which I didn't answer because we're getting ready to start, but I got a call from Amazon. I listened to the message. I ordered a heater. It didn't come. So I look at the tracking information Amazon sent me. Where's that bird?
Oh,
Flippy the bird. So it didn't show up, and I'm checking the tracking stuff. So I call FedEx because that's who it's through, and I give them information, and I'm like, it says that I got this delivered a week ago in Ontario, and I do not live in Ontario. And they're like, that is a tracking number, but it's not your tracking number. They gave me someone else's tracking number. So then I tried contacting them, heard nothing. I put a really bad review up with 1 star. And then I got contacted. I got an email, which is very poor English, saying that they would give me another $20 if I took that review down. I said, no, thank you. And then I got a call today from Amazon wanting to make sure that I got my refund, which I did, and see if, they're like, oh, well, they didn't tell you that, we ran out of supply, so that's why I didn't get it. No, that's not true. Whether they ran out of stock or not, they told me
it
a
was
shipping
shipped.
number that was not mine. Out of stock or not, that wasn't the issue. So I did get my money back. I will buy another one at
So now
some
you
point.
have stockers and you have out of stockers, right?
Stalkers and out of stalkers.
Now she gets it. Out of stock from Amazon, but you got stalkers following you around.
Oh my goodness. Going Green Mom is here. I do believe she's still here. Maybe she popped out for a bit. Thank you, Raised by Wolves. Info, my lives are golden. You know what? I'm lucky. I have people like you, Aaron, that come up on these live streams. People that have some really great information. And you know what is I feel bad about is I've actually had some people request to be on my channel, but they don't fit with the stuff that I talk about. And it's nice it would to have them come on. I can't. I can't do it because that's not the point of why I'm doing this.
Hey, come on. I will admit that it's taken us 3 times to get this to work.
And your point is?
It's done now. I don't have to listen to you go, yeah, I haven't done an interview with you yet.
Hey,
Aaron, we
you
haven't
and
done
I
an interview
connected.
yet.
Now I know why we connect as much as we do, because some of the things that we both have understandings of, like even the fact that you wanted the same type of education I have for a variety of reasons, different things, ways that we've coped with, issues, right? We do have those things in common, and I think that's how we connect with a lot of people in our audiences and our chats. And I feel like you coming today and sharing what you did was really awesome for the people that follow you. And I feel like now that they know you more, they're going to want to be a part of that so much more, right? I feel
That's
like
the point.
you could branch out a bit and people would really like that. Pretty much anything you put out there, people are going to like. They know you. It's you that they're supporting.
That's the idea, is to get a community behind you. And that's what you've been building here for a while. So that's why I said keep doing what you're doing, because it's great. You have some of the best interviews on YouTube, hands down. I'm sorry.
Really? Thanks.
I've been saying that
I
for a
need
while
my fan again.
because it's you get people involved. You do. You get people to talk about things that they normally wouldn't talk about. I mean, I've done it twice with you now about some of these issues, but I don't know. I'm always kind of got nudge, Paula, can you need to do this. But that's like we were doing the other day. I mean, that's the chat works both ways. So
I appreciate the help and support and encouragement that you give me, though, right? And it's just like when Badge gives me information, or when Russ gives me information, or Ray or you, because you guys are the key ones that really help educate me on different aspects. You guys could say almost anything, and I would be okay with it because I respect you guys, and I know you know what you're talking about, and I know you're looking out for the best for me.
Mhm.
So that's where I know I could handle constructive feedback. Now, if it was someone that didn't know me at all, watched one stream, they're one of those people that gives the thumb down before the stream even starts, that would be a little different. No word of a
Mhm.
lie, Aaron. I put the thumbnail for this up
I know.
late last night. I checked it an hour later and already had a thumbs down. I'm going places, baby. I'm going
It
places.
wasn't me because
I
I was
have
like,
my haters. I have my haters.
I just got on here.
It has to be someone that subbed me to have and it's happened more than once. That boom, as soon as it's posted, thumbs down.
Can you get Badge's comment right there?
Where is he?
Right there. Yeah. So Badge,
Aaron,
what probably happens with that is she'll ask me a question and then she'll bounce it off of you, and then she'll ask you a question and she'll bounce it off of me. So just make the checks and balance thing, you know.
Well, it's just like with my logos too. I was having such a hard time. What do I want? What do I want? And then it's actually my son that really helped me because it's like, you know what? It's you that creates the meaning with the logo. And so that just took all the stress away because I was so for some reason I felt like I was committed to it for the rest of my life. My God, I've never even been married. How could I handle a logo forever?
To change it. I'll
Yeah, I
agree with
know.
Deej for that, but Deej, boy, he's our tough critic when it comes to you.
Deej.
Yeah, DJ,
Oh, my
you're
anyone that doesn't know, my brother's in here lots, and man, he doesn't hold back when he
no.
comments in the chat. He is also, though, you only see that one part. Um, he's my biggest supporter. He's the whole reason I'm even doing any of this. The whole reason I even actually bought the ambulance and that I started a YouTube channel. Like, it's great. He's hard on me. Like, holy shit. I feel bad for his kid when they want to get out of line.
Why is your son still awake? Oh, he can go to bed whenever he wants to. What does it matter? And I'm going,
He was just joking
it's
around.
okay for you to do it, but not for, okay.
Yeah. But he loves me and he wants the best for me. And so it's almost like he's the older one and I'm the young one, but it's not. Right. So I see stuff in the chat from him, and someone might think, oh my God, that person's terrible. But I hear how he says it. Right. That's how
Yeah.
I
Well,
read it.
you're used to hearing it and understanding it. Where
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, wow, ooh, I would never say that.
Oh.
I'd be gone. She'd be like, banned, gone, go away.
Oh, I like this. Raised by Wolves. The sign of a great interviewer is someone that can get the interviewee to talk about things they weren't prepared to answer. They're usually a more real, honest answer.
She contacted me, or I think I contacted you. I said, do you need anything from me for this? And she's like, just some pictures. I'm like, okay. I just fired off a bunch of pictures. I'm like, here you go.
Well, I'm finding I really like incorporating the pictures. It helps guide the conversation, bring it on track, and some really cool stuff like tonight got shared. And I mean, I've been Facebook friends with you for like over a year, and I've never seen all your pictures, right? So I had no idea any of this, and I definitely, by seeing the pictures, wouldn't have just known the story.
No, you would have never understood that because that was back when I was masking all that.
Yeah, yeah. But I am so honored,
Mm-hmm.
truly honored that you shared as much as you did on this stream.
Well, that's me. Take it or leave it.
Well, you know what? It made me feel better about some of the stuff that I've shared because I
Well,
reposted a video that shared